Hello, this is Greg Smalley on Pod 366, a Weird Movies podcast. Joined this week, as I often am, by Giles Edwards.
Hello.
And this is take two after some technical difficulties on take one, so hopefully nothing bad will happen. It's a short episode this week, no guest, and we only have 4 movies of varying levels of interest to talk about. Although before we do get started, I wanted to mention a movie that we talked about last week that is not on this week's agenda. I believe it was last week we talked about Once Within a Time. I got to the Godfrey Reggio movie. I got to see it on a screener, and it is definitely going to be a contender for weirdest movie of the year. I can think of maybe 3 movies that I would think would get in that race seriously, and it's one of them. 45 minutes long, definitely surreal. There is a surprise celebrity guest who I don't want to ruin the surprise, although if you read almost anybody else's review, they're going to ruin the surprise for you. But when this individual popped up on the screen near the end, I was truly surprised
So with that in mind, and of course, in
there you cut
general, you should only read our reviews. Uh-oh, having some tech trouble, but we will soldier on.
Yes. Yes, the important thing is what Giles says, is only read our spoiler-free reviews. I did mention that there are UFOs in it, though, so I don't know if that could be,
those were on a promotional still.
That's true. They were. What did I mention was on there? Okay, well, probably nothing. All right. So anyway, I would recommend people see that. It's playing in New York this week. I know Samuel Tressler wants to see it because he commented on, the director of Lita commented on the post that he wanted to see it. And you're back, Giles. You were frozen, and now you're back. Maybe you're back. Your eyes.
Oh yeah, I wonder how his clown thing went. Oh.
We don't know.
I'm sure you can cover all of this, Greg.
Sure. We're going to see how this looks. Hopefully it won't be too horrible because we are having connectivity issues. But let's just race right into this week's movies. Starting off with one that's in theaters.
Yeah.
And here it is. Can you see the still, Giles, since we're having some difficulties?
I do. I'm kind of disappointed they chose that one, but I suppose out of context, it doesn't really spoil anything.
Well, I chose it from like 6 different ones.
That.
Yes.
No, I don't really blame anyone. It doesn't matter. It's a great still, and it does make you wonder what's going on.
Can you describe it for us?
Yes. In the far right-hand side, taking up about a quarter of the screen, is a back shot of gonna guess a young braided woman. And she is facing, and you can sort of see that her legs are spread open in front of a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 background women, and one woman up close to her with, shall we say, a surprised and pained expression on her face, which is somewhat obscured by what looks like a white gauzy cowl kind of thing. The background women are of various indistinct ethnicities, but all fairly young and dressed in kind of tight bodysuit things, and they have also on their faces differing looks of concern, surprise, some anguish there, and it's all in glorious black and white.
Yes, it is Divinity, Eddie Alcazar's Divinity, coming to theaters this week. I think it's probably going to have a fairly decent run because we will have the trailer up on our site, but on their homepage you can see where it's going to be playing, and among the places it's going to be playing is near me. So
Whoa.
if it's playing near me, they've got a good distribution. It's opening this week in New York City, next week in Los Angeles, and then after that, some West Coast dates, and then more widely, Fort Myers, Florida, wow, Egan, Montana? No, Egan, Minnesota. I'm sorry, my glasses are bad. And some more Floridas, and it's coming to Louisville, Kentucky, which means it has a distribution deal with AMC, which means that a lot of people may get the chance to see this. Also means, since it has that, it is playing into November, it may not get onto VOD until late November or December, maybe, with a disc probably after that. So it's going to be close for a lot of people to see it in 2024, but it is nice to know that it's out there. Giles, you have seen it, correct?
I have. I caught it, I think, at the second festival it showed up in, because it debuted, I believe, in Sundance. Sounds like something they do, one of their midnight movies, I think. And it was also a late night feature early on during my 3 weeks at Fantasia this past summer. And it had mixed reception, even from people who generally hew toward strange movies. So I'm loath to describe it as a love it or hate it kind of thing, but it's definitely doing its own stuff and probably cares less about an audience reaction than what Mr. Alcazar was trying to communicate. So I liked it, and it's definitely worth checking out for the oddities and overall strange look to it.
It's so from what I gather from the trailer and description, it's about a future in which people are having difficulty with fertility, and there is a drug that will make people immortal on the market.
Yeah, and those two are tied together with the drop in one explaining the longevity on the other side of the equation. So, yeah, it takes place over the course of about, in addition to some flashbacks through in-movie video, but the whole thing takes place over the course of about 24 hours, focusing on a really, really swish party hosted by the guy who is the son who perfected the concoction that brought about this good physique and immortality elixir.
So the elixir gives you both immortality, and does it give you youth?
Yeah, pretty much. It's virtually everyone you see, other than the inventor's son character played by Stephen Dorff, I believe. They're all these just sort of either muscle-bound dudes or Amazonian women, not counting these creatures, these humanoids that we see on this still here. They have an entirely different agenda, and what they're ultimately up to is revealed in a closing shot that I did not see coming at all. And beyond that, there are two entities from somewhere in the cosmos who crash onto the planet pretty early on in the proceedings.
Good, because you got to have, I mean, you can't just have immortality elixirs and dystopian futures. You need to add aliens if you're going to have a weird movie. I mean, you need to throw everything in.
He's thrown just about everything I might think of into this. So yes.
Sometimes more focused movies can work, but as weird movies, generally the more stuff you throw in, the better.
Yeah, I'd agree. I enjoy, well, one reason I'm here is I enjoy a bit of extra in my films. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Very much extra. So that's Divinity. Catch it if you can. And you probably have a fairly good chance of seeing that one compared to some of the other movies we like to talk about. But here is a movie that you almost certainly can see if you want. It's the latest in Criterion's 4K upgrade series, at least the weird ones that we're tracking. And it is a good one for Halloween, perhaps, for a stranger version of Halloween. It is David Cronenberg's Videodrome. Videodrome. Made in 1983. I actually, believe it or not, saw it in theaters in its theatrical run, and saw it on VHS soon after that, probably twice. And unlike every single other movie on the list of 366 weird movies, I have not seen this since probably 1990 or so. I did not get around to a second watch of it. A lot of the movies I had seen before, I watched again, either so I could review them or so I could refresh my mind and say, yeah, that was as weird as I thought and as good as I thought. Videodrome, I felt didn't need that.
Yes,
I felt that, yeah, this is weird.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think in a way, VHS. I mean, considering the themes of the film, VHS would probably be the best way to watch this. It'd be neat if Criterion did a really nice VHS widescreen release for as close to 4K as you can achieve on that medium, and yeah, play it through your obviously cathode ray television that you've kept kicking around in the closet.
4K VHS, yes. Yeah, the technology, it's sort of impossible for me to go imagine somebody, who's like, say, in the 18 to 29 range, watching this movie for the first time and seeing all this old technology with the cathode ray tubes and the cassettes that you have to insert memorably into the player. But it's all presented as very futuristic, but using this anachronistic, what's now anachronistic technology.
It was definitely, contemporary, it was all contemporary tech with a few flourished inventions and what have you, as the new flesh is ascendant. But yeah, watching it, because I watched it sometime in the past few years at any rate, to give it a fresh review for the book project, and it's definitely very weird and definitely ahead of its time, but obviously constructed in its time. So it's all the really great home video, home transmission stuff that's like, oh, look at those big TVs, those must be 21 inches, maybe 27. And yeah, but still holds up quite nicely because, well, it's great Cronenberg work with James Woods probably at the top of his game.
Yeah, and so yeah, like I said, I wonder, it's got to be a stranger movie for new people to see because of the mix of old technology and it's set in the future, which is kind of something that captured in and Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway is a world that's made today, but it's made both so it looks like it's in the future and in the past at the same time. That was contrived that way, brilliantly so. But this one now is just evolved into it's got that aesthetic. So.
Yeah, and actually also with Divinity, a lot of late 80s tech littered around scenes in that movie in a obviously throwback kind of way, that film having been, I think, completed in 2022 before it started its festival run. So that was definitely, in addition to a morality play, a vision of the future, it was also some retro nostalgia there too.
Okay. Any other thoughts about Videodrome, Giles?
No, I imagine there's a good chance virtually everyone watching or listening to this has seen it and agrees with us.
Yeah, and if you haven't, you probably want
And if
to
you haven't, get
check
on
it
it.
out, especially if you have a 4K UHD player. If not, as always, it comes with a standard Blu-ray included, and you won't be that much worse off. I don't think it
No,
your wallet a
there's,
lot more either.
considering the age, there's only so much magic 4K can do.
That's probably true, yeah. Well, if they had the original film masters, they could
Oh
probably.
yeah, no, it's there are almost certainly improvements, but I imagine they're not certainly from the Blu-ray, they're not going to be as in your face as some other examples.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so a next movie is one I'm imagining I haven't seen, so I'm imagining Giles hasn't seen. I could be wrong though.
No, you imagine correctly.
Okay, it is Identikit. Identikit from Severin. This movie is from the I've lost the date, but it's from the 70s.
I think I got a date somewhere here. I'll let you know in a moment.
Sure.
Carry on.
It was on a box set called The House of Psychotic Women that was reviewed as a box set on our site by L. Rob Hubbard. Movies about hysterical women, and now it's being released separately. It was, I think, the weirdest of the releases. Several of them were at least a little bit weird, and this is the one I think is the weirdest. It comes from a time in Elizabeth Taylor's career where she was, winding down, and she wasn't getting maybe the top Hollywood assignments anymore, and decided to take chances on some much stranger projects, I think, hoping to bring herself notice. And she was in about four Reflections in a Golden Eye, this one, and Boom, and another one whose name I forget, that are considered very odd movies, particularly odd movies for a Hollywood icon such as her to show up in. As far as I can tell, I know very little about the plot, except she's maybe a little off. She's going to Rome hoping to meet with some man, and keeps meeting with different men instead. And there's a background of terrorism, which is something you saw in Buñuel's movies. And it was Italian, mainly an Italian movie with an American star.
Yeah, 1974 is the year of release.
74. And that's about it. It's a very intriguing movie, I think. Critics hated it at the time. It's kind of been revived and championed, certainly with the House of Psychotic Women set. And I think other people have a much higher opinion of it as a film. It was too strange for audiences in 1974, particularly Elizabeth Taylor's audience. Now it apparently plays much better. So that's Identikit, now available on a separate Blu-ray. Giles, what can you...
Yeah, one more thing probably worth mentioning. Mentions here Andy Warhol as a co-star in this, which I haven't seen it, so that could mean he actually co-stars, or I wouldn't be surprised with a name like that. He might show up in a little cameo thing and got higher billing because he's Andy Warhol. So some way or another, he's there.
I believe he shows up in a small part, based on what L. Rob said in his review, which you can read on our site, will be linked. Something I forgot to say about an earlier movie, Divinity. wanted to point out it was co-produced by Steven Soderbergh, just like Once Within a Time was. So last week we were talking about how Soderbergh had put his name on a lot of weird movies lately, and there's 2 releasing in the same week. So.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Well, good for him. Thank you, Mr. Soderbergh.
Okay, and we have one more movie to
We're saving this best one for last, Greg?
Oh yeah, we saved the best for last. Giles, do you have like everything ready to go describing this one?
I can
Hey,
let me yeah, I can work. Yeah, I can give a description.
well, all right. So Giles, just describe this image if anybody can't see it.
Oh, right. Well, dominating most of the frame, it's a sort of, it looks like a screen capture with the title at the bottom, and about 2/3 going from the upper left hand down diagonally to the lower right, and then stopping about 2/3 down that way is a young woman, mascaraed, mouth agape, looking upwards at a largely unseen individual with, I guess, an expectant look in her eyes, and her mouth is approaching a flesh-colored, shark-shaped object with its mouth open, meeting her open mouth. And you can tell that this shark-shaped object is emerging from a pair of blue denim pants. And the positioning of a hand in the far right-hand side suggests someone leaning back in comfortable anticipation.
All right, that's way more than we even needed, and it's the movie, of course, is Dickshark. Dickshark came out in, let's see, when did Dickshark come out?
I think 2016
originally. This is the Dickshark, 2016. This is the Dickshark Collector's Edition. Now, we reviewed Dickshark on the site, and in a first for us, has never before happened, the person who wrote it up requested that their name not be put on the review. They did not want anyone to know, to do a search, Google search in the future, and find that their name had come up as reviewing Dickshark.
Ah, yes, I see it is an admin review. We have, not many of those.
I will not tell you who that secret person
heavens no.
Anonymity is. But they didn't like the movie, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm seeing that from a quick scan here.
The movie,
seeing phrases like tedious interludes, stretch on forever, average pornographic film. And I guess I do like this quote from the unnamed and unnameable reviewer. What I personally took away from the film is how fascinating an undulating vagina looks in extreme close-up and slow motion. Not even Lars von Trier and Antichrist could compete with the sheer weight and focus Zebub gives to the female sex in Dickshark. The film really deserves the IMAX treatment, and preferably without raincoats offered to prospective male viewers.
It is, I should point out a couple of things. It is not a hardcore porn movie. There is apparently, I haven't seen it, but even
of course you haven't.
Even the back of the case stresses that it's not a hardcore porn movie. It's just a movie with a lot of nudity, perhaps near constant nudity, and apparently some undulating vagina shots, which go beyond, your normal R-rated thing, but it's not XXX.
So
I'll
hovering between 1 and 2x is the impression I'm
probably
getting here.
probably a 1.5x maybe.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Cool, cool.
And they never had a double X. I wonder what double X movies look like.
It may
Like the
never have
sweet spot, you know?
the kind of thing that you can, maybe talk about and not feel like everyone's looking at you funny.
Right, right. I think double X was a missed opportunity. They should have had it's really the sweet spot between X and triple X.
Yeah, yeah, the more adventurous X's or
I think
the
Antichrist would be a double X movie.
yeah, I'll admit I haven't seen that, but from the many things I've read and heard about it, I imagine so.
At any rate, this is directed by a gentleman named Bill Zebub, and I suspect that's a pseudonym.
It may be. He might be William Zebub.
It might be William Zebub. He just goes by Bill. He's made a ton of movies, all of them, from what we can tell, sort of absurd horror comedies with lots of nude women, and they all get marked on IMDb with surrealism, and that may be Mr. Zebub coming in and marking them himself. I don't know. But somebody marks all of his movies with surrealism, which is one reason why it came to my notice when I originally assigned it for review. I've assigned a number, or suggested, I didn't assign it, but I suggested a number of Mr. Zebub's movies for review. Dickshark was the only one anybody ever bit on.
Oh, this is fascinating. I'm looking at his oeuvre here, and
Go ahead, read some titles.
oh yeah, just let me. I want to check because there's a classic so bad it's amusing movie for many that okay. So Frankenstein Island is unrelated to Mr. Zebub's oeuvre, except for the fact I was trying to see what IMDb had that rating at. That is a 2.0 out of 10, and that had been the lowest I think I'd seen. From casual observation on IMDb, Mr. Zebub ducks that handily by 20% with an early feature of his getting a 1.6 star rating out of 10 for a film titled Jesus Christ, Serial Rapist.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Rape is a Circle. That actually is a title that could conceivably, do something better with, but I'm gonna guess he might not have wasted his time or ours. Slightly higher than his earlier film Jesus the Total Douchebag at 2.5. Holocaust Cannibal, which I'm gonna guess is gotta be a riff on
Cannibal Holocaust,
the 1980 that 1980 exploitative film, which has a fair amount of nudity, but probably not nearly as much as this fellow's work. And interestingly enough, scrolling up his output from the bottom, on average, it seems the reviews are getting, or the star ratings are getting better. Breaking even 6.2 in 2019 with Clowna Nostra, which is a mob boss.
Ooh. Well, there you go. You're now totally
social serious. Maybe. Hard to say. So yeah, he has some 60 odd films that he's made, probably flying in the face of any amount of adversity. He's just a guy with a lot of stories to tell, and I think it looks like he's written most of the scripts for these films too. But Dickshark, I guess, for one reason or another, may well be considered his current masterpiece, at least to inspire a 2-disc special edition with at least a 3-ish, 4-ish hour cut of the film.
Well, yes. And here's the story. So I guess there are fans of Dickshark So maybe that's why his ratings are getting better. He's finding his audience of which I prefer them to stay hidden, but he's finding his audience, and no offense to anybody who likes Mr. Zebub, I assume ironically. He kickstarted this double disc collector's edition and wanted to make the longest cut possible of Dickshark, which apparently comes in at over 6 hours long.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were kind of cagey about it, but yeah, they said
This is
at least on the Amazon description. Runtime 8 hours and 2 hours behind the scenes bloopers, footer, and deleted. So yeah, 6 hour cut of Dickshark.
And if you go on the Dickshark Kickstarter page, as I did, you can find a 45-minute behind the scenes featurette there, introducing us to the cast of young ladies. There are like 3 or 4 females and Bill Zebub, I think, in every scene with them, who all disrobe. So, I mean, that's like 2 hours of nudity from each of them before they get killed, presumably by the Dickshark.
Yeah.
One other thing to mention, the star here on the cover is somewhat well known within the softcore sex industry of recent years. It's a woman by Erin Brown, named Erin Brown. That's what she goes by now. It's her real name. She used to go under the pseudonym Misty Monday, where she made a number of films and got a following for herself due to her extreme good looks and willingness to disrobe and do lots of strange things. She was in several strangling movies. There was a time when there were strangling fetish movies out there, including Vampire Strangler, which I saw actually and was probably as bad as a Bill Zebub movie. It was just terrible. I'm assuming Bill Zebub movies are bad, by the way. And again, no offense to anybody who likes Bill Zebub movies. Maybe he really is a great, funny satirist who's making these horrible, supposedly horrible, offensive movies, but really is being quite witty in a John Waters way. I think the normal sort of, not that there's a lot of discussion about Bill Zebub, but I think the normal take would be that he's a sort of filmmaker who likes to make movies so he can get a lot of actresses together and make them take off their clothes and be in scenes with him.
Artistically.
I think that may be his motivation. And, it could be
Well,
wrong.
he's either skilled enough or charismatic enough that he can convince others to partake in this 67 times so far.
Yeah.
He's doing something. He's doing his thing. The thing, and if he's not hurting anybody, which it doesn't seem like he is, go excellent.
I think he may be living his best life for sure.
And I wish that for just about everybody.
He's probably doing exactly what he wants to with his life, and
whereas we're stuck here talking about some other guy living his
we're
best.
talking about him.
See, he's won.
Yeah, he has. He's won. We've lost. And what a depressing
I guess that wraps up the
note to end on. But that covers all our movies, and we're out of time. And I don't want to seem like we've been making fun of Mr. Zebub because we've never seen his movies. He's just like this legendary figure. If you're a fan of Mr. Zebub, maybe you can explain why to us, or
we do try to keep an open mind.
Yes, it's just that it's the only movie anybody requested anonymity because they didn't want anybody to know they'd seen it. So, and this is probably his most mainstream picture too, Dickshark. So, Anyway, that'll do it. The takeaway from this movie is probably not to go out and buy the special edition of Dickshark, although I won't, if you want to, more power to you. But
Well, yeah, I imagine again, this is the kind of thing where they already have it if they know about it and wanted it. So, followers, why not?
I think the takeaway is try to see Divinity, try to see Once Within a Time, and pick up Videodrome if you don't already have it. And that's the takeaway. And Giles is probably frozen, so yeah, he looks frozen. We could
Excellent. It seems I'm cutting out.
Oh yeah. I wish I could paint like a mustache on him. Well, he has a mustache, but like a different, more of Dolly mustache. But I can't do that using current technology. So, all right, we're going to sign off. We've been goofy long enough, and we will see you next week. No guest scheduled for next week. We do have some guests scheduled for the future and are trying to schedule more, but we have nothing to announce directly at this moment. So I'm going to say goodbye and see you next week. See you next week, John.
See ya.